Hello, and welcome to Bitching About Movies. I'll do you one better, Frank. Why is Gamora?
That was great. That was good. Great Drax quote. This is a very special edition.
Yes, a very, very special edition.
Matt is excited. He is barely clothed right now.
It's so hot in here. Oh, my God.
This is the Avengers Infinity War Spoilercast. And
oh, boy, is it.
Yeah, and it's the culmination of a project you put on yourself to watch all the MCU movies.
Happily did it.
Yeah,
happily did it. Yeah, if you've been listening to Bitching About Movies for a while now, you know that since January 1st, I have been watching all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I watched them all in chronological order, except for Black Panther, which saw in theaters and then one it wasn't able to get back to again before Infinity War. Still did pretty good, I think. So in this episode, we're going to walk through Infinity War first, and then I'm going to do my official ranking from worst to best of all the Marvel movies that are, you know, of note.
Which is educated and fresh because you watched them all.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
I'll chime in with my opinion because I just want to.
Yeah, and we should say, too, to any new listeners, because I assume we're going to get there's people that love listening to spoiler episodes like this for big movies like Avengers, and boy, is it a big movie. If you've never listened to Bitching About Movies before, we like to do two things. One, every Monday, we have new episodes that come out that break down what is new in theaters, what is streaming, what's on VOD, and then just like randomly what we've watched, including trailers. We do that every single Monday. We will preview brand new stuff. We'll pick through the list. Like, you know, sometimes those first of the month movie dumps are so big.
Yeah.
You know, HBO will add 30 movies. Well, they're not all fucking that good. So we'll pick through and take the ones out that are worth noting, worth watching, or worth actively avoiding. We also like to challenge nostalgia on this show a lot, and we like to think about movies that we maybe haven't seen in a long time and challenge our opinions of them. See if they hold up.
Most recently, Half Baked, which we agreed wore out its welcome.
Yeah, it sucks.
We outgrew it.
And we do those primarily in these topic episodes because we just can't do it all on a preview episode. It's too much content for one episode. So most recently, we did a 420 episode where we went through a bunch of stoner movies. What else did we do? We did The Broken Lizard guys because we did Super Troopers 2. So all sorts of fun stuff. But this one is going to be all about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and primarily about Infinity War, which, boy, I'm glad that we do this podcast because I need an outlet to talk about what happened. There's some shit that happened. And like I said, too, it's a spoiler cast. So we're going to just...
Go watch the movie.
We're going to jump into it.
Haven't seen the movie, just fucking watch the movie. And then you had the brilliant idea of just breaking it down team by team. So I'll let you lead this one off.
Yeah, so the movie
comment.
The movie picks up right where Thor Ragnarok left off with Thanos' ship basically attacking the Asgardian refugee fleet that is trying to leave Asgard, which was just destroyed. It does not go well. It doesn't. No. Thanos destroys half the fleet. He beats the fuck out of Thor, kills Heimdall, then kills Loki, and then manages to throw Thor out of the ship into the depths of space. And you pretty much immediately realize Thanos is no fucking joke, and it tells you in the first 5 minutes the stakes are about as high as they've ever been.
It does. It does. Is that true? So I thought that the opening, it was successful to me in explaining how badass Thanos is. I thought the Loki death was kind of weak.
A little bit, only because he was dumb. Of course you're not. He of all people should know because he's the one that failed for Thanos. He worked for Thanos and failed. He shouldn't then try to kill him too.
And I think one of the themes in this movie is that whenever these characters react emotionally, they act out of their nature and they fuck up. All of the mistakes made by the Avengers or the good guys in this movie are emotional decisions, and the Loki one is the beginning. And then Thanos introduces in that scene. He talks about what his purpose is, right? Or does he do that later on?
So the Ebony Maw, which is his herald, basically the guy who's he's got no nose, he's all gray skin. He's basically talking to the dying Asgardians, telling them that this is a glorious moment for them, that they've been saved, by the Titan Thanos. And his whole goal, they set this up in this scene too, even though it's like there's so much information going on while you're also just taking in the fact that all these people are fucking murdered in front of you. They go into the fact that Thanos' whole deal is about killing half of all life in the universe and making everything balanced, because there's, for whatever reason, there's overpopulation, food shortages, whatever reason he needs to justify killing half of everybody, which he needs the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet to do. And the reason he's attacking the fleet is because Loki was dumb enough at the end of Thor Ragnarok to take the Tesseract with him out of Odin's vault, which was also the Space Stone. So as soon as Thanos gets that, and we should say too, he starts with the Power Stone. So we already know that he's raised Xandar from Guardians of the Galaxy. So that plan is gone. Glenn Close is probably dead. John C. Reilly's probably dead.
Yeah, they didn't show that. And it's funny. One of the things that I felt in this movie was, man, why didn't we get some time with these other stones, like saw their power beforehand? Like, you had 19 movies. There could have been a way, right? I mean, I don't know if it...
No, we did, though. Not all of them.
I didn't see the Reality Stone, which is really interesting.
The Reality Stone is from Thor: The Dark World.
Okay, so I didn't see that movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that entire one deals with. The Soul Stone was the only one that was left to mystery.
Oh, okay. So maybe there was a reason I should have watched Thor. You probably explained that when you talked about that movie, too.
Maybe. But yeah, so anyway, of course, everything goes pear-shaped. Loki gets choked pretty severely. It was grim. He does get out a good "we have a Hulk" line, so that was nice. That came full circle from Avengers, and then we get to see Thanos beat the fuck out of Hulk, like in nothing,
to show just the physical power of Thanos without any stones, like how fucking powerful he is. And I thought that was a really cool battle in the beginning, but it didn't. That scene wasn't what got me really into this movie. I wasn't quite into it yet.
No, but it just lets you know, like, Thanos is not to be messed with.
I think it was actually a prelude, right? Because it doesn't even say Avengers till after that scene.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, because it opens with the Asgardian fleet, sending a distress signal, which actually, fun fact, that's the voice of Kenneth Branagh, who directed the first Thor movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, doing that distress signal at the beginning is Kenneth Branagh. But, it just lets you know that the stakes are high, and then it also moves the plot forward a little bit. Heimdall's able, with his, dying breath, to send Hulk back to Earth.
Yeah, that was cool.
Using the Bifrost. So of course that's how
I forgot
Earth is
he
able
could do
to
that.
know. It's not that he. I don't know if he ever did. He just. It's whatever. It's comic book magic.
Yeah, rainbow power. Hulk rainbows to Earth. And they gave Hulk some important roles. I know they were in the comics, and we won't talk too much comics. That was Silver Surfer, right, originally.
Right.
But Mark Ruffalo, I thought, got more scenes to chew up in this one. I thought he did well.
Well, it was good in this one too, because after getting his ass handed to him, Hulk kind of retreats into Banner, which is the opposite of what they usually do. Hulk doesn't want to come out, and consistently throughout the movie, whenever he's called upon, he's just. Yeah, he's big chicken shit.
That was Ruffalo's struggle, and not to get too far ahead, but he ends up suiting up in the Hulkbuster, which is it was weird. I would never have thought Ruffalo would be part of the comic relief of this movie, but he was.
Yeah, he was good,
and all that stuff worked for me.
So he crashes to Earth in Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, where he meets Wong and Doctor Strange. They loop Tony in, who, in heartbreaking retrospective, looking back on this, he wakes up at the beginning of that movie talking to Pepper about having a dream that he had a kid, and he hoped that it had been a reality. So he wants a kid at the beginning of the movie. We'll talk about what happens at the end. Doesn't go well, but he's in retirement phase. He's Iron Man. Tony Stark's ready to hang him up. Yeah, even though he's worked these nanobots, they do that little bit of plot wedged in there. He's got this new nanobot suit that he's just for protection, just defense.
Just a button on his chest that turns into a suit.
Yeah. So Banner crashes. They get Tony involved. Doctor Strange shows up, and we get the big Tony, the big meeting of the Sherlocks for the first time.
Yeah, I thought that was okay. That's fine. I think, Cumberbatch kind of got showed up there, by Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. is just so into this world.
I kind of liked their back and forth though, because they're both very similar kind of characters in the sense that they were egotistical assholes before getting their amazing powers.
I felt like Tony Stark ended up becoming the egotistical asshole, and he made Doctor Strange look more of the square. Like all of his lines landed just like you're the one I fucked up in the previous podcast. Like you're embarrassing me.
Oh, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards.
Yeah. He Tony Stark's ability to just still be sarcastic throughout this universe threatening situation, I thought was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was for a specific reason. I thought it was and I guess we'll get into that. So you have that team up. And
so they're the first team, and this is also where we get the first Earth introduction of Thanos, the children of Thanos, or the Black Order, whatever you want to call them. You get Cole Obsidian, who's like basically their version of Hulk. He's like this big fucking dude.
He's got like a sledgehammer axe type thing.
Yeah.
Looks like some Warhammer dude.
And Ebony Maw, who's the guy that we talked about earlier. We also get a good jibe from Tony, who calls him Squidward.
Yeah, that was good.
That joke definitely landed.
Everyone laughed in the theater I was at.
So they have come because Doctor Strange has the Time Stone, and they're trying to get that, and they're doing a pretty good job of it at first. And that ends with Spider-Man getting involved. He seen in the trailer, he sees the spaceship coming down from
when he's on the
school bus.
Who's driving that bus?
Stanley's. There's his cameo.
Applause in the theater I went to.
Yeah,
well given. Yeah, like a really good cameo.
Also, I really like that Ned, Peter's friend from Spider-Man Homecoming, had like one line in this movie, one scene, and it was to cause mass panic on a school bus.
And he did a great job.
It was great.
That whole scene, I love. The Spider-Man stuff throughout was the strong point. One of the strong points of this movie. Love the Spider-Man stuff.
The only thing I wish they didn't do with Spider-Man, they did another, hey, remember that really old movie joke? Yeah, I could do without that.
I don't know. The alien thing, aliens, that was good.
I mean, it was cool that he made a pop culture reference, whatever, but
and then,
the callback line was too much for me.
Tony Stark's like, no more pop culture references, and then there's a scene where
he did talk.
Peter Parker's talking to someone about a movie that comes up again.
Footloose.
Yeah, Footloose with Star-Lord.
Oh yeah, when they meet, Star-Lord. He's like, is Footloose still the greatest movie ever made? And Peter's response of, it never was.
Yes,
perfect.
That shit was good. So yeah, there's certain chemistry points that were stronger than others.
But I like that team. They go to space. They end up on the spaceship, and they end up trying to rescue Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I do like that one too. I thought there was a lot of Doctor Strange in this movie, though.
There has to be, because he's one of the more powerful ones.
Yeah, I guess his powers match up with Thanos. I get it. Yeah, and you could tell that. I don't know if it was on accident, but putting Peter Parker and Tony Stark in with him kind of carries the load as far as like the entertainment purposes. Like, having those two in there because they work so well together in Spider-Man Homecoming, I thought was smart.
Well, it's also a good bit of character development because Tony didn't want Peter to come along with him. He knew how dangerous it was, and he did anyway. And I mean, if we're just going to talk about the team and how they progress through the movie, I mean, the movie ends with Spidey fading away and dying in Iron Man's arms, which is just like the worst possible thing that could fucking happen to Iron Man.
Yeah, I will tell you, of all the dramatic moments, Tom Holland fucking nailed that.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Yeah,
we'll get to the disappearing people at the end of this, towards the end, I think.
Yeah, we'll count them all.
But yeah, like the relationship between Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. is fantastic. It's some of the best shit in all of these movies.
Yeah.
So as scenes would end and a new one would begin, I was really into that. I was also really into, of course, the Guardian stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Teaming them up with Thor, the shit with Hemsworth and Chris Pratt was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, their chemistry was great because, he's chiseled and, Gamora obviously being attracted to him and Rocket just pointing out how perfect he is. What do you call him? Like, an angel?
It's like a pirate and an angel had a baby.
Yeah, but the pirate angel, they're fantastic. Thor going around with Rocket on a side mission, calling Rocket Rabbit throughout.
Yeah.
Give me
Rocket,
more
Thor,
of that.
and Groot together, were excellent, and they end up going to make Thor a new weapon since Mjolnir was destroyed in Thor Ragnarok. They are going to make a Thanos killing weapon, which teaming them up with Rocket is like the perfect explanation for that.
Yeah, and I would say even coming off of Homecoming and Guardians 2, those two storylines, I could have watched whole movies of those leading up to this. I could have watched Thor and Guardians 100%. because those are two of my favorite
Yeah.
movies. And then, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Iron Man. That could have been a whole movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the general consensus with this movie is that I just didn't want it to end. I could have just taken more of what they were giving me for another few hours, probably.
Did not feel like almost 3 hours.
No, it did not.
It did not. And I didn't look at my phone because I'm in a theater. I'm in Gentleman. And I didn't really know. I was like, oh, it's wrapping up now. Like, I wasn't following the pacing of it. It was paced really well.
Yeah, I was sucked into it for sure.
Let's talk about, I think the weakest part of the movie is the, Vision.
Yeah,
Scarlet Witch.
Because Vision has the Mind Stone, so that's a ticking clock. The more of the Black Order ends up in where are they?
London or something?
No, it's not London. It might be Paris.
Okay, somewhere.
It's somewhere in Europe.
Not America. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. So they show up there, and then I do have to say the biggest applause that the whole movie got, and the first big round of applause was Cap showing up out of the shadows.
That fucking scene was so well done.
Yes,
I agree.
it was.
That was a huge applause.
Yeah.
Because the build up for that, where he just shows up, boy.
With the train passing in front of him too, so you're like, oh, what's that? What's that? I mean, you know what it is, but it's like, oh, what's that?
Chris Evans,
shadowy figure there.
Before and after this, it's like, he is like his portrayal of Captain America makes him a timeless movie star.
Oh,
he had just nailed it. I'm bummed that he announced, why announce that this next Avengers is going to be the last movie? It just makes me think he's going to die. I was hoping, like we said before, he would die in this one and fake this out.
Yeah, but, well, none of the original crew died in this one.
Yeah, spoiler, none of those die, which is interesting and weird. A little too fortunate, I guess, for
We'll talk about that. I have ideas.
I get the Scarlet Witch thing again. She's there like Doctor Strange because her powers, but I mean that's on them. Like they should have made these characters more interesting leading up to this point if they knew they were going to be that critical.
Well, they did. See, and this is why I wish they had just spent more time with these characters. Like, make this movie 3.5 hours long. It deserves it. But, I wanted more explanation of Vision and Scarlet Witch's relationship. Because
I forgot about it.
Anyone that reads the comics knows that these two eventually fall in love, have kids. It doesn't necessarily end well for them, but they do have a relationship. And I'm fine with them developing that in the movies as well. But do it. Actually develop it. Don't just tell me that they're together and that it's working. I did like that scene where Vision was saying, and he was kind of stumbling over his words, and you could see that he was a little nervous about admitting that he liked being with her.
Yeah.
Without being too on the nose and just saying, I love you. Like that was nice that they were a little subtle and they gave him a little bit more emotion.
Well, because if he's a combination of course he'll be emotionally reserved.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. But a lot of the movie then deals with them trying to avoid the Black Order and Cap's team, which is Cap, Black Widow, Falcon, and Bucky. Not Bucky yet. They get to Wakanda. Oh, War Machine's with them as well. Or they meet up with War Machine at one point.
See, this team up to me, but besides the Cap stuff, Chris Evans killing it. It was like some of the weakest stuff in the movie.
Yeah, I'd say so. It wasn't anything that killed my buzz. But I definitely the sci-fi space battle stuff, and really anything with Thanos was more interesting.
It was so I'm watching that stuff, and it's like Star Wars level. They scored it like a Star Wars movie, also, and that stuff was so good. I'm getting so hyped within the middle of this movie. We've talked about it. I was gonna watch this movie. I wasn't as excited for Infinity War as you, but its highs are so high that I'm like, yes, they're finally doing what I wanted them to do, and then they go back to the Scarlet Witch stuff, and the battle in Wakanda was really disappointing to me.
Really? See, I liked that final battle, especially once they open up the barrier into Wakanda, because they realize that's the only way to funnel all of the I think they're called Outriders.
I guess you don't watch Thrones, but I've seen wars like this recently and stuff like Thrones, and I've just seen it done better. I thought what I wanted was more team ups. I didn't see how they worked as a team. They were all fighting. There's the soldiers and
Black Widow and Okoye versus Proxima Midnight was pretty fucking awesome.
I was about to be the next thing I said. That was great, but more of that. Where was that? That was such a great team up, and just bringing those three badass women together was fucking awesome moment.
I also really loved seeing when they were all about to, when the entire army was storming forward, Black Panther and Captain America running faster than everybody but keeping up pace with each other. That was a cool. That was
cool I agree. Scene. That was a cool scene. But that battle, it wasn't a high point in the movie. It wasn't terrible.
At that point, too, the stakes were also higher in the other places. At that point, Thanos is fighting Iron Man, so your attention is going to be there. But what I really like about the pacing of this movie and just the way the teams are laid out and the way the scenes are laid out, it felt finally like a fucking like crossover comic book event. Like it felt like
Each
a
thing
big
was like a
summer.
page.
Yeah. Like it feels
or a book. Each scene felt like a comic book.
Yeah, well, it felt like what Avengers big event storylines like this do best in the comics, which is you have a giant roster of characters that never normally come together. You split them up into teams that you don't normally get to see them in. You kill a fuckload of them off throughout and make everyone deal with those consequences. And then you end with the bad guy winning. Like, that's what, and then the next event's about cleaning all that up.
Yeah, so like this is like the Empire Strikes Back of these movies. Yeah, it is a somber ending, and this part of my beef is here. I thought so. The Soul Stone scene was cool. I really like the visuals of that planet. I like the Red Skull showing up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I
For a
didn't
brief
see that
moment,
coming.
I thought it was like Doctor Doom because I don't know shit about comics, and I was like, oh no, it's not him.
I didn't know what they were doing.
I didn't know like the Red Skull's like a floating wraith. Has that ever been a thing?
No, so that's one of the few things in the movie that wasn't explained enough for me is just like, okay, so the Space Stone took him there during the events of Captain America, the First Avenger. Space Stone took him to that planet, took him to the Soul Stone, and we get a little bit of explanation from Red Skull that the Soul Stone is basically sentient, like it's guarding itself and it's deeming people worthy or not of wielding it. So there's some greater power going on that has apparently kept Red Skull alive, given him some sort of powers. I mean, how's he been eating for 85, 90 years?
Yeah, he seems like an immortal.
Yeah,
like
something has happened to him, and they didn't really explain it. It was more just concerned with showing us, oh, look, hey, Red Skull, we didn't forget about him. That scene, as cool as it was to see him again, yeah, I get that was maybe not explained, but
I thought that was cool. I just
chalk it up to space magic, whatever.
Yeah, it was also like way too convenient that he brought the character he needed to bring. He brought Gamora there.
Well, of course he did, because she was the only one who knew.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think
that
scene
needed to bring
scene hit really hard for me too.
Her death.
Yeah, when she started kind of bragging about how she knew that this day would one day come when he would be disappointed, and I knew as soon as she started opening her mouth that she was doomed. And it hit me hard, man. It hit me in the gut.
Maybe like it didn't work for me. Maybe I was just pissed that it was happening. Then I'm like, you kill one of my guardians. What the fuck? And like, yeah, Gamora and Nebula have the worst fucking life. And And you know, Nebula's one of the ones going to be hanging around. I like that.
Yeah.
I think she's a cutthroat motherfucker. I love Nebula.
She's the only way Tony Stark's getting off Titan, because they're the only ones left on there.
Yep.
So,
but so my issue with the whole film is like one thing. So like you said, stakes seem high. They
kill a ton of people.
There's Loki, definitely.
Loki and Heimdall right from the get go.
Gamora.
Yeah, Gamora's death was pretty bad.
Yeah, so Guardians is going to be weird now. Guardians 3 is going to be like somber as fuck. I don't know. They could like give Star-Lord a new love interest in the next Avengers or whatever. But so, you know, spoiler alert, Thanos just pretty much runs through. There's a couple scenes that, you know, it's nitpicking because I don't like. Doctor Strange decides to spare Tony Stark's life. In exchange.
But before this, when they're prepping and they're planning for Thanos to show up, Doctor Strange does this thing where he looks into the future and he sees 14. Sees 14 million plus different combinations and different possible futures where they all lose except for one. And then after that scene is when he bargains with Thanos for Tony's life. Tony's like basically about to die. He's been stabbed through the side. And Doctor Strange says, you spare his life, I'll give you the time stone. So Strange knows something. And I think he knew what was going to happen. I think he knew that Thanos would get the stones. And
he knew that plan would happen. So I guess Star-Lord has to make the emotionally retarded decision of just like the glove is about to be off the hand
they
of
finally
Thanos.
get him pinned down and they're trying to get his glove off.
Which it was a good display of Thanos' power because you have Star-Lord, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Iron Man,
and Mantis keeping him under.
All teamed up at their best, giving it all to barely slip this glove off this motherfucker. And Star-Lord just does Star-Lord. It's like he didn't learn anything from Guardians 2, which I thought was kind of an abandonment of his character. in that, like, all the lessons he learned, he unlearns in that moment. I mean, I get it. It's Gamora.
Yeah, it was a big deal for him. And they even went through that whole scene where right before they go to retrieve the Reality Stone from the Collector on Nowhere, which that scene was pretty rough, too. A very tense scene. Gamora makes Star-Lord promise that if things go wrong and Thanos gets a hold of her, that Star-Lord will kill her because she has the location of the Soul Stone. That becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly. But, she doesn't want him to have that. And Star-Lord completely breaks his promise. Not that he really, I mean, well, no, he tried to, and then... Yeah,
he did attempt to kill her, but the Reality Stone got in the way.
Yeah.
And then Thanos is like, I like him, which is interesting. I also find it interesting that Thanos doesn't kill everybody. He just kills certain people. Like, he lets these guys hang around.
Because that's his whole deal, and I think we haven't really talked about Thanos as a character too much, but he's definitely one of the best Marvel villains because...
Oh, Josh Brolin's so fucking good.
Oh, yeah. He's the only person other than Andy Serkis to make emotion in a motion capture suit, like, real.
On this level. Like, yeah, they nail Thanos. Like, you feel how fucking, like, menacing and powerful he is. And, like a lot of good villains... His plan does kind of make sense.
It's got a cold logic to it.
Yeah.
He wants to just wipe out half of all life, and he's seen overpopulation destroy his planet. He doesn't want to see it to happen to other planets, but he also has this whole thing where he's like, he wants it to be random, but I think a part of him realizes, and this is why he saved Gamora. Like, they show you that flashback scene of Gamora meeting him for the first time as a little girl, and he favors her. He chooses her because he wants her to experience the toughest pains imaginable because it'll make her stronger.
And he wants someone to relate to. Like, he does have, like, an urge to, like, have, like, someone... Like, his whole family's wiped out, so, like, he's a lonely guy.
Yeah.
And, like, even the people that work with him in this plan, like, he has no relationship towards them.
That's true. Well, they're the children of Thanos.
I'm saying, like, that wasn't displayed in the film. Like, there's no, like, chemistry, like,
they didn't really
personal relationship between them.
I just assume that they've been through similar things to Gamora and Nebula.
That makes sense.
But that's about it. I think they could have developed Proxima Midnight a little bit more and made her like a third sister almost. But I get it. It's Thanos' movie. Like, make it about Thanos. But they got him fucking right. But he ends the movie with assembling the Infinity Gauntlet. He gets all the stones. He snaps his fingers, just like in the comics, and he wipes out half of all life.
And just enjoys the sunset, as he said he would.
That's exactly what this is what happened in the comics, too. Like, he just retires to a farm because he's gotten everything that he wanted. But, yeah, it was brutal watching everybody, like, fade to dust.
See,
and the first one was Bucky, too, which people were a little upset about. But, Bucky fades, and then Black Panther... Who else? Pretty much all the other Guardians, except Rocket.
Except for Rocket.
Falcon.
Yeah. Pretty much all that's left is the core Avengers. Thor, Cap, Iron Man. Banner. Scarlet Witch is gone.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch is gone. Vision had the Mind Stone ripped out of his head, so he's dead.
Rocket's left. Nebula, which I consider like a Guardian, really.
Yeah, she was initiated.
Yeah. Not much, dude. There's not much left. Doctor Strange is left.
Wong's the new Sorcerer Supreme, I guess.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is dead.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did die. I can't remember.
He faded away. So he knew he was going to die when he did that, too. He knew what was going to happen.
Which is interesting.
I think the reason he did it is because he realizes Tony Stark's the only person that can figure out a way to stop Thanos.
Which makes sense because... he's the first Avenger we see. I know Captain America's the original, but he started this shit. For me, I get how it makes sense. Like, it started to go downhill for me when I realized, I thought they were going to kill Iron Man, which would have been awesome. And to tease that, I guess, is to prep fans for what's probably going to happen in the next movie. But the stakes started to get fake for me.
They're obviously going to bring a lot of people back. That is
everyone that dissolves is coming back.
That's a comic book thing, though.
Yeah, I get it.
Also, I would put money on Gamora coming back. I think that because she died as part of the sacrifice to the Soul Stone, you can write some sort of logic out of that. You can come up with a comic book explanation to bring Gamora back.
You bring the Soul Stone back, you get Gamora back.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, she's trapped, and you even get that a little bit at the end too. Right after he snaps his fingers, he goes into the Soul Stone and sees young Gamora, and she asks him if he did it, and he says yes. So I tend to think that her soul is trapped in the Soul Stone. That's there's comic book reasons to believe that. Like, there's precedent.
Do we think Loki's dead?
I think Loki's probably definitely dead. That was also brutal too, because he said no more resurrections right as he killed him, which is like, oh yeah, Loki did die at the end of the first Thor. He got sucked into space, and Thanos resurrected him. So yeah, I don't think Loki's coming back. I think that's a good fitting end for him. It makes sense, and he kind of went out like a hero.
Yeah, it's just I thought just the fading away was kind of lame for me, just because I know they're all coming back. There should have been something after that, or like end that way. Was like, oh man, like none of this.
If you have a problem with that though, like
none of this counts.
That's such a comic book.
I know that
thing that needs to be. It's just a staple. It's a staple. Like, of course, you can wipe out half of the universe and still win the day.
And I know that. I'm a very casual comic book reader. I know that, and I just also know how the film industry works. Like, Black Panther's coming back. There's a billion reasons why he's coming back. Same with all the Guardians.
There's 206 billion reasons.
Yeah,
the movie's coming back.
Exactly. I was surprised how many people in the theater took those deaths as literal. And
they didn't hit me that hard.
It's funny. I think like you can definitely see people that have like didn't earn their nerd cred that are like so upset their favorite characters are dead. Like, oh, you didn't read any comic books, and I'm not a comic book snob because I don't know shit. But like you guys don't know. Like there's people that think all those are gone. That think like Groot and Star-Lord and fucking Black Panther are dead.
Yeah, no way.
They're all coming back.
Yeah.
But I think they have to destroy the Time Stone after that. Like that's got to get destroyed.
No, I don't think any of the stones will get. I don't think any of the stones will get destroyed. I think they will be entrusted to specific people after that. How
are we getting rid of Thanos then? Does Gamora put him in the Soul Stone?
They will either in the next one they will either kill Thanos somehow, which is like near impossible, so that'd be crazy if they actually managed to kill him in the movie, or they imprison him somewhere, or maybe even a more radical realization is that he turns. He turns. He determines that it wasn't worth it because he did lose everything. He even says at the end that was the price. The price he paid was everything. He lost all of his quote unquote children. You know, everyone that he trained and raised. He lost all of them, including his favorite daughter Gamora, who he killed himself. I think he's going to realize it wasn't worth it. And they definitely showed at the end, it looked like the Infinity Gauntlet was broken. I couldn't tell. Like, they didn't really show a close-up of it.
It got burnt up in that one scene.
It got real burnt up. So I don't know if it's still working or not. I don't really know how they're going to write themselves out of this, but it doesn't seem like an impossible task.
Yeah, I would say definitely an amazing accomplishment for what the first Avengers movie was by just juggling those 5 guys or 5 characters, 5 to 8, whatever. This is even more of a juggling act, and it was like masterfully done. Yeah, it's just the ending kind of bummed me because I'm like, fuck. I didn't realize I'm dumb. I didn't realize this was going to be half of like a story, that the other half is coming.
Yeah, they played a total bait and switch. They've told people for the last like year and a half, like, oh no. Avengers 3 is its own movie. Avengers 4 is its own movie. It's not.
Because originally this was chapter 1 or whatever, it's part 1. It's what it really is, and it's fucked up. Like, that pissed me off. It's like I get frustrated. Like, it's a Harry Potter situation.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all because 1, there's only a year in between, and 2, like, of course this movie was supposed to end on a cliffhanger. It's too much for one movie. It's way too much for one movie. So the fact that it's 2, I'm fucking ecstatic for that. And we're gonna get so we have Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out in July. That's probably gonna take place like concurrently
with the story, right?
Or just prior to. Like, I see the after credits thing being Michael Douglas turning to Ash or whatever.
Okay.
Like, that'll probably it'll happen around the same time. But then we also get Captain Marvel, which is set in the 90s. It's a flashback.
The post-credit scene.
That's the post-credit scene where Sam Jackson's calling out to her.
So fucking ready for Brie Larson. I've been following her, like, prep for this on Instagram, and you just should follow Brie Larson. She's
I'm not
an
even
amazing
a huge
person.
She's playing Carol Danvers, who's Captain Marvel, who's kind of like their Superman. Like, she flies, she's super strong, she shoots laser beams, so she's got all sorts of cool powers and shit. I like Brie Larson a lot. I like Jude Law is playing Mar-Vell, who's like one of the Kree warriors who inspires Captain Marvel. Not a huge fan of Carol Danvers in the comics, but yeah, I love Brie Larson, so I think that's going to be interesting, and she'll be a big part of the sequel, I think, as long as she didn't also turn to Ash, which I'm assuming she didn't.
No, because not anything. If any of these movies coming up are prequels to Infinity War, it's dumb. It's a waste of time. Yeah. Who's interested in anything that's not associated to like going to be the most anticipated sequel.
Well, that's what with Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, it's going to be a fun heist movie, and you can't do that after the world has experienced an apocalyptic event. It won't fit. So that's why I'm thinking it's going to happen like just prior to, and then probably catch up to. Well, we'll see what Ant-Man's been up to, and then everyone will die. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, you're probably right. So there's Ant-Man, and then there's
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, then
Avengers 4, which they haven't said the title to yet. They probably
Too Fast,
won't for
Too
a little
Thanos.
bit. Pitching it.
Yeah, I just thought of that, by the way. I'm proud of myself.
So yeah, I loved it. Ultimately, man, it's everything I wanted, nothing I didn't. It's everything that as soon as Thanos showed up at the end of Avengers back in 2012, like, this is exactly what I could have hoped for.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a couple beefs with it. Like, they bait and switch with me. Marvel fucks with my emotions because I'll give him a chance to redeem himself in 4. I mean, this is nowhere near as bad as Ultron, and to me, it's just as good as the first Avengers movie.
And it's impressive as shit that they pulled it off. That they made a movie that it was easy to follow and track, and you knew who these fucking characters were. Like, I want to know. I want to find somebody who has never watched a Marvel movie and try and get them to understand what is happening in this.
Apparently, people have done that. I've seen on the internet. People
Really?
are pissed off. Like, what the fuck? Some people amaze me with their stupidity.
Yeah, maybe watch some of these other movies first.
You want to get to it?
Yeah, let's do it, man. So long story short, we're recommending Infinity War. Go see it if you haven't already. I'll probably be seeing it 2 or 3 more times at least.
Is it your favorite movie of the year?
So far, it's my favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, easily.
It's kind of tied with Black Panther for me.
So yeah, easily my favorite movie of 2018 so far. But let's start ranking these things. I have 18 MCU movies to go through, and I'm going to start at the bottom.
Okay.
My realization doing all these movies in the last few months, Avengers Age of Ultron is easily the fucking worst MCU movie.
Okay, it's definitely bottom for me.
It's offensively bad at times. Like, there's parts of some of these other movies that are a little boring or underdeveloped, but the Black Widow Hulk romance in this, and the fact that she equates herself to a monster because she can't have children, like, it's so offensively badly written. Not only to women that also can't have children, but to fucking, like, that character, to Black Widow in general.
Not brought up at all in Infinity War.
Yeah, not a big deal. Nope. She exchanges a glance with Banner. That's about it. But yeah, Age of Ultron, easily the worst. Then I would say second worst is Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I agree with you.
There's a big gap. There's a big gap between those two in quality. But Thor 2 is just boring more than anything. Malekith's probably the worst Marvel villain. I just don't give a fuck about him at all. A lot of this movie doesn't make any sense. It has some cool moments in it, but ultimately there's not much going on. The one that I would have thought was the worst prior to doing all these, Iron Man 2. Probably third worst.
Okay.
It moved up a little. It moved up a little bit. There's stuff to like here, but it's a little overstuffed. Like, this was definitely they were biting off more than they could chew with some of these characters and having Whiplash do essentially nothing.
It was also rushed through the writer's strike. People forget that.
That's true. And it also just takes the parts of the first Iron Man movie that I wasn't a fan of, like the fucking AC/DC like love.
Yeah.
Basically. Like, I'm not into that. The heavy metal vibe. Yeah. Little broy for sure. Incredible Hulk, I would say after that. It's kind of the redheaded stepchild.
I forgot about it.
Ed Norton's one of the few that didn't make it through, the first movie.
Him and Terrence Howard probably didn't watch Infinity War.
No, they probably did not. But yeah, that one's kind of okay. It has its moments, but it's mostly forgettable. And then another big gap, I would say, between this movie and the next movie. So these aren't necessarily as bad as one another.
It's another tier up.
Yeah, this is the next tier. Ant-Man is bottom of the next tier.
So far, I have nothing to say because I agree with all of this.
Ant-Man is decent, but it's not the best.
Decent heist movie.
Yeah, it's better heist movie than anything. Paul Rudd really carries a lot of that. Then I would say just slightly better than Ant-Man, Iron Man 3.
Okay.
Another one that I think would be closer to the bottom on a lot of people's list, but I really enjoyed it upon rewatching it. Like, to me, it fixed a lot of the stuff that was wrong with Iron Man 2, which was... so Iron Man 2 is all about the suits and how he's nothing without the suit, but I liked Iron Man 3 because it was more about Tony Stark and about him trying to figure out how to do things without his suit.
Yeah, his chemistry with Pepper and even like his chauffeur. I forget the guy's name. Favreau's character.
Happy Hogan.
Happy Hogan. Yeah, like it was a really good celebration.
I don't mind Guy Pearce as Adrian Kildridge.
Yeah.
Or Aldrian, whatever that Kildridge, whatever the hell his name is. I don't mind him, and I don't mind the bait and switch with the Mandarin in that movie either.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then right above that, I would say the first Thor. Slightly better than that. I have a higher opinion of that movie than I did prior to rewatching it. I like it. I think it's got some cool fantasy elements going on. I think Asgard is really well realized in that first Thor movie, and Asgard's a location that we return to a lot in the MCU, and the fact that it was set up so nicely and so perfectly in that first movie. Really.
I dug it too. I thought it was, you have it ranked the same way. It's the weaker of the introduction, like the solo Avenger films, but it's still a good movie. Yeah. It's not great, but good.
Then I would say the Avengers. I would throw that in there. It's a little bit lower.
What number are we at here?
This is this is the 8th worst.
Okay. Or 10th best.
Or 10th best.
Yeah, 10th, number 10. Yeah.
1, 2, yeah, 1, 2. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
12. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not bad. The worst thing that the first Avengers movie has is like campy action movie cliches, and there's a few plot holes here and there, but it's just so goddamn fun, and having those characters together works. Really strong third act, which for an action movie like that is sometimes hard to pull off.
And it's the baby steps. We don't get Infinity War if this doesn't work out.
True. Then just slightly above that, Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I liked this one a lot upon rewatching it.
It's weird.
It needs more Mads Mikkelsen.
I like how weird it is. Yeah.
It needs more Mads Mikkelsen, that's all. But it is weird, and I like how trippy and like kind of how it mirrors a lot of Tony Stark's journey, but goes in a very different
like a kung fu type storytelling.
A little bit.
Like how he learns his abilities in like a kung fu way.
Yeah, without being the white savior too. Yeah. I would say slightly above that, Captain America, the First Avenger. Another one that's a little on the campy side is probably the worst thing you can say about it, but it just so perfectly captures the Captain America character, and making it a period piece too was the only way to go. So I'm really glad that they did
nostalgia in full force, and Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, and Tommy Lee Jones. Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull does not return in Infinity War, but we at least get to see where he went now. So that was cool. That took a while to pay off, but I liked it.
Yeah.
Just slightly better than Captain America: The First Avenger, Captain America: Civil War. This one definitely moved down for me. I would have had this in the top 5.
Still have it too high, but
I don't know about that.
It sets up a lot, which is good. The Black Panther stuff, and the Bucky stuff, and even Spider-Man stuff. So it is like a tentpole moment for this series, but it was a disappointment for me because I thought it was where stakes were going to go up, and it just like pulled it back a little bit, slowed things down.
Yeah, I can understand the gripe about the stakes not being high enough, because there's really the fallout of this movie is just that a lot of people become criminals. Yeah. That's pretty much it. But it's
so political, which I don't need.
Yeah, I like that this movie makes a lot of the events of Age of Ultron make more sense and kind of justifies it. And I just like the idea of superheroes dealing with the fallout of their actions, which is something that these movies don't typically deal with often enough. So the fact that this whole movie was about accountability, and honestly, Iron Man's journey through this movie is one of the strongest points of it, and it's something that I don't think I realized the first time I watched it, because it is a Captain America movie. But this one really perfectly continues the rise and fall and rise again of Tony Stark and his
more wavering
insecurities.
Yeah, where like Captain America's morals are set in stone; they're concrete.
Yeah,
and
also
Tony Stark's not.
Some of the strongest acting in any Marvel movie by Robert Downey Jr., like that final scene where he finds out that Bucky killed his parents, and he asks Cap if he knew, and Cap tells him that he knew that Steve's best friend killed Tony's parents.
Oh yeah, where they find that footage.
Yeah, that scene is heartbreaking, and it really Robert Downey Jr. is MVP of that movie, even though it's a Captain America movie.
Cool.
Right above that, Iron Man. It's a classic. It's going to always be a classic. It's like perfect origin story, and it not only set this entire franchise in motion, but it brought Robert Downey Jr. back Like, it made him viable again.
Yeah, so far I'm mostly agreeing. You just know I got beef with Civil War. Maybe I need to rewatch it.
Right above Iron Man, I have Black Panther. This is the only one that I've only seen once. And as soon as it comes out on Blu-ray, you can bet your ass I'll have it, because it's a Marvel movie. So I definitely want to revisit it and put it back in this ranking where it needs to go. But I was really like blown away by it. And really impressed by it.
Just a great villain. It's an evolution. Like, I think if Iron Man was made now, it might be better than Black Panther. But like, it's where Iron Man sets up the expectations. Black Panther just like evolves and takes on a new level.
And this is why I have it above Iron Man as well, because even though I think T'Challa and Tony Stark are both handled well in both movies, Killmonger is such a better villain. And even though I love Jeff Bridges, such a better villain than Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, for me, Thanos, Loki, Killmonger are probably there, and then also Vulture. Like, they're my top 4. They're my Mount Rushmore of Marvel villains.
Speaking of Vulture.
No one's close. Yeah.
Speaking of Vulture.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming. Yes. Just above Black Panther.
A movie you didn't think you were going to like as much as you did.
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
a lot of people like weren't expecting it, and I love Homecoming.
I mean, it was the third Spider-Man, series in as many decades, whatever.
Dude, remember I watched all those movies in a week?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die.
How was that?
Terrible. You may watch 18 movies in 5 months. I watched 7 or whatever the fuck 6 Spider-Man movies in a week.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
sheesh.
There's worse things you could do. We sat through those video game adaptations.
Yeah, Homecoming felt like, just like
a shot in the arm.
Yes, a shot in the arm for sure. Like a shot in the heart, like the Pulp Fiction scene.
Yeah, third time's the charm. They got that series right. Tom Holland. I think it's so great that they put him with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in that movie, because it really is like a passing of the torch, changing of the guard, whatever metaphor you want to use.
I hope we can see him grow up as Peter Parker. I hope he stays with it, because he is so good. I love Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, but I think Tom Holland's the best one.
Yeah, I like Tobey Maguire as an adult Peter Parker, but it's a very different vibe, and I also think that Tobey Maguire fits what Sam Raimi brought to the table. Tom Holland is more, what the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs.
Yeah, for sure.
He's more that kind of character.
Yeah.
All right, so we are in the bottom 5 or top 5, I guess.
Dude, I think we kind of agree on a lot of stuff.
We're real close.
I feel like you validate my opinion is what it is. People think I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't know the history. But
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think I know a good movie when I see one.
So top 5, starting with number 5, Avengers: Infinity War.
Cool. That's where I have it.
I'm putting it right there, and that is still pretty high. Like these 5 movies are still like the best movies I've ever sat through, honestly. Like, I just fucking love them so much. They make me so fucking happy, and these are all, you could say that these are all kind of tied for first.
Okay, but
this is me breaking them down as much as I think I can.
If you could see the glow in Matt's face when he's talking about these movies, you would feel the adorableness.
Yeah, so Infinity War was good, just not as good as Thor Ragnarok, which I have at number 4.
Okay.
I think it's so funny, and I also think that it's one of the best combinations of like the franchise's vision and a director's vision. The fact that Taika Waititi was able to infuse so much of his own personality and style into that movie, while also making something that fit into this broader spectrum, that he got into the sandbox way late. Like, he came in so late into the game and yet made something so distinctly him and so distinctly Marvel.
Yeah, it's like the MCU had a party before this big, heartbreaking, epic movie, and it's Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
it's the most fun.
That too.
Yeah.
Man, the after credit sequence now isn't going to feel the same, knowing that movie ends with everybody, not everybody, but half of everybody dying.
Yeah. Thor Ragnarok basically ends, and then Infinity War begins. Yeah, right there.
At number 3, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
It's good, man. It's another one where they pick a genre, and they do a genre movie as well as a superhero movie, and they made a perfect 70s spy thriller. The kind of thing that Robert Redford would have been the hero in the 70s, he's now playing the villain in, and everything came full circle, and it's just some of the best Captain America fight sequences in probably any of these movies. Some of the best Cap dialogue, and it also starts some really good character development for him, where you can tell that he's not really comfortable if he's not fighting a war. If he doesn't have something to fight against, then what's he doing with his life? And something I wish that they would hit home a little bit harder, but I think that that's coming. I think Avengers 4 is going to wrap up a lot, especially with Steve and Tony. I think we're going to see a lot of that wrap up, and we're going to see decent payoff to these characters' developments over the last,
which is what I wanted from Infinity War. I wanted the old guys to step off, and for Star-Lord and these other guys to be the top guys.
That was never going to be what you were going to get, though. Yeah. I think Avengers 4 is going to be more up your alley. It's going to be a more optimistic and hopeful kind of movie by the end of it.
Yeah, it's following the Star Wars. Just if Star Wars had fucking Attack of the Clones in the middle of their trilogy, which is Ultron.
So there is no number 2.
Yeah,
there's
time for one.
There's just 2 number 1s, and it's Guardians and Guardians Volume 2. They're the same movie. It's like when people say, "What's your favorite Star Wars?" and you say they're all tied for first. That's Guardians for me. Yeah. They're both tied for first.
People say, "What's better, Volume 1 or Volume 2?" I say yes.
Yeah, they're the same. Like, and that's one of the complaints that a lot of people have with Volume 2. Which I think if I had to choose between the two, I'm picking the first movie to be better. But it's just a good origin story. The second one lets us spend more time doing the same things that we like with these characters that we've already liked. Introduces a few new things into the mix. And really, the Guardians Volume 2 is more about building the mythos and building that universe out a little bit. So it's got a lot of information gathering for someone like me.
Yeah, it definitely makes it more universal. Yeah. The MCU, like, it takes you out in space and to different planets more. And, like, just, I think it was a test run for all the space battles and shit like that.
I think Guardians Volume 3 is going to, if Gamora doesn't come back in Avengers 4, part of Guardians 3 is probably going to be Peter dealing with the Soul Stone, and I can see Gamora's comeback being held off until Guardians 3, but I see that being a big deal.
Because she's slowly become a great character.
Oh, and they also have teased at the end of Volume 2 for Guardians, they teased Adam Warlock, who also interacts with Thanos and the Soul Stone a lot. So he could even show up in Avengers 4, honestly. I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, we know Captain Marvel's showing up.
A lot of room got cleared out. Because, the 50-50 split, it was 80% of the heroes got wiped out.
Yeah, but when you think about it, it does match Thanos' plan, because his whole deal is that it has to be random. Yeah. So it was a random assortment of 50% of all life in the universe.
And they got a bad break. Yeah. So I'm excited. So we agreed more than I just have a couple gripes. So I feel like I know what I'm talking about now. And
that's good. Do you want to watch any of these again? Like, if you had to pick one of these to watch tonight, what would it be?
Civil War. Not Civil War. Infinity War.
Yeah, I want to see it again. My mom's birthday is next week, and that's what she wants to do. She wants to go see Infinity War.
And Mother's Day is coming up, so I'm sure it'll be playing through Mother's Day and Father's Day and the 4th of fucking July.
At this rate, it'll be playing through fucking Christmas. Like,
Black Panther's still in theaters. How cool is that?
Yeah,
you can watch both of them right now.
Both of them are in theaters. Yeah. Let us know what you thought about Infinity War. Reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Frank does all that, so you can bother him with it.
Yeah, please do. Please, it's no bother.
But
tell me how wrong I am.
Everyone's seen it by now. They had to. It made more money than fucking anything ever. So
yeah, it's cool. I just wanted more, finality to it. I wanted closure.
That's never what we were going to
get. A lot of my nitpicking isn't fair, but still, like, tell your kids it's okay. Spider-Man's coming back. Spider-Man will grow back.
Maybe don't take your kids to this movie, because it's tough. There's a couple moments. Oh my God, we didn't even talk when they get the Reality Stone, or when you find out Thanos has already gotten the Reality Stone, and he like shreds Drax and Mantis to pieces. One, that's a reference to the comics. Like, he did that to 2 other characters in the comics. He did that thing. But they don't actually die. They just get like turned to shreds. It's really weird. I like physically shouted in the theater when Mantis turned to shreds. No! It was a little, I'm not going to recreate it because it was super embarrassing at the time. But yeah, like, I just had to scream inside of me, and it came out. Yeah, I shrieked. It was a shriek. It was like, it was like a 50s housewife that saw a mouse in the kitchen. It was so bad. I was so embarrassed.
See, for me, and Drax is one of my favorite characters, I was like, cool, I'm okay. I'm just like, chop these motherfuckers up because I wanted steaks that bad. I'm like, it makes sense. He's going to mow through them.
I was pretty sure Drax was like my only sure bet was going to die. I didn't realize that it was safe to bet on pretty much anyone.
Yeah. I will have to do a death poll for the next one because people are going to actually die. But yeah, so if for some reason you listened to this and didn't see the movie, go see the movie.
Yeah, and if you did see it and you liked this episode, rate and review us on wherever you listen to podcasts. The more, the better. 5 stars would be great.
Yeah, and before you disintegrate into a bunch of pieces,
go to bed.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.